John DeLorean has had enough ups and downs for several lifetimes. Once he was the golden boy at General Motors, and then he left to build his own car, and it was named for him, the DeLorean, a racy brushed steel sports car with gull wings and a $25,000 price tag. It was built in a factory in Northern Ireland with the help of a hefty subsidy from the British government. But things began to go badly for the car and the man. He was charged with cocaine dealing and embezzlement and acquitted both times. His third wife, model Christina Ferrari, divorced him, but now he's back with newfound religion and new plans, and he's with us to talk about both. Please welcome John DeLorean. Hello. No, this isn't your life. I was thinking about that. What this is your life, but it has been a very tough last few years, hasn't it? Do you think that you've healed? We were talking earlier about you do have to suffer.
Yeah, I think, though, that the key to these things, and that's why my religion has become so important to me, is that it's very easy when you've gone through particularly a couple of really devastating frame-ups like I did. You know, I think the government spent some $54 million prosecuting me, and we didn't put on one single witness in our defense. But what happens to you if you're not careful is you become embittered, you become sort of like they are. And
why do you think the government did that?
Oh, I think it's unfortunately, it's the perversion that's obsessed our whole country. Look what's going on in Washington today. I saw Time magazine the other day. There were 130 separate allegations of impropriety on the parts of various members of the administration, including the Attorney General is under special prosecutor investigation and so on. I think what's happened is that we've lost our focus, particularly in the Department of Justice, on law enforcement. Instead of upholding the Constitution, they're interested in celebrity prosecutions, and it's wrong.
Well,
but what happens to you, though, is, for example, I was reading War and Peace again the other night, and Tolstoy says of Napoleon, at the height of his power, he was incapable of a single moral thought. And that's what happens to you when you get in a conflict. You have a tendency to adopt the posture of the opponent, and if you're not careful, you can become not only very embittered, but become a sort of an animal yourself.
So you're saying that that's what happened to you, comparing yourself to Napoleon?
No, what I'm saying is that the place my religion has played in all this has kept me from becoming that kind of a person. I have no hostility and no desire for revenge. I'm not mad at anybody. I just want to get on with my life.
Has it blotted your good business name at all? Have you
no, it's surprisingly. I think that people recognize what happened, and this time around, as you know, I'm in the process of trying to put together another car venture, and it's much easier to finance it this time than it was the last time.
Now, Christina divorced you, was it 3 weeks after the second trial? Did you expect that?
No, that was rather, in fact, that was the most devastating thing, because it was not the second trial, it was the first trial. And the day after the trial was over, she told me that she had, her new fiancé had gotten her a job with ABC, and that she was moving out and taking the kids, and I wasn't coming along, and that was really devastating to me.
Well, she appeared to all of us to be very supportive. I mean, she bought a whole wardrobe for the trial and seemed to, I mean, everything seemed to be working. It was as much of a surprise, I think, for us as it must have been for you. Had no inkling?
Not quite.
No? Oh, really? It was more of a surprise for you than for us, huh?
But that's...
You had no inkling that that was going to happen?
No, not at all. It was, of course, you also remember I was pretty preoccupied with a lot of other things.
Talk to us about this newfound religion. I'm fascinated with it. It seems to be happening. It's catching.
Well, it isn't newfound. I've been religious really all my life. I think for the 12 or 15 years before all this harassment happened, I went to St. Patrick's here every single day of my life, 7 days a week, every morning, usually around 6:30. And I don't think in 15 years I missed 3 days, if not here, somewhere. But in any event, I think back in 1981 I bought a farm out in the country, and my little daughter then was taking horseback riding lessons from the lady across the street, and we started spending weekends out there and start looking for a church in the country, and the lady who was giving my daughter horseback riding lessons suggested we go to church with them, which was a little church that met in the high school auditorium out in Bridgewater, New Jersey, called the First Evangelical Free Church, which is a Swedish derivative New Testament church. And it was really a shocking revelation to me to have the entire ceremony taken from the Bible as opposed to the ritual that's common
that you're used to in the Catholic
yes.
Church.
And not to demean the Catholic religion in any way, but it was a really different experience. Well, then I did become a born-again Christian in '81, about a year before all this trouble started. Had a water baptism and so on, and it's been the central part of my life since.
You mentioned your children. We don't have a lot of time, but how do you explain all of the events of these past few years to your children ethically? What do you say to them? What kind of a father do they see?
Well, I don't think you have to explain things very much to your children because they accept you for, circumstances for what they are. I think that both my children, I believe, are proud of me and that we have a good relationship. But I don't think there's really anything to explain. People have been subject to the same kind of thing over the years, and it happens, that's all.
Can you give us a tiny hint about the car? I know you can't talk much about it, but it sounds terrific.
Well, it's again, but this is a very high-performance car as opposed to the last one. It's not built for the masses. It'll sell for somewhere in the $140,000, $50,000 range.
Oh, I would say that, yeah, that wasn't for the masses, no.
No, it's only for hosts of morning shows.
Oh, you got me. Okay, no, not for this one. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up next, TV Watch with George Kirgo plus comedian Carl Falkenberry. So stay with us.